Hey everybody, it's Coach Bill Hart. Welcome to the podcast. Today I have the distinct pleasure to introduce you to a friend. Steve Sims has been a friend of mine for quite a while. He is described by Forbes as the real life Wizard of Oz. I can't wait for you to hear a little bit more about why that is true. And then he's going to challenge you just like he challenges me every time I talk to him about how to show up differently in terms of my branding in my marketing. It is so my pleasure to introduce you to Steve Sims. Welcome.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
We did this 3 years ago.
Was it 3 years ago?
It was 2019, buddy. It was pre-COVID, and we were talking about blue fishing and everything that went along with that. And I had to go look it up today and figure out when that was. And you got a whole new thing now, man. So I'm super excited to be able to share what you're focused on right now. But yeah, 3 years.
Wow, time flies when you're smiling.
That's a fact. And I think that's a good philosophy. Might be a good t-shirt. I don't know. By the way, I wore a black t-shirt today in honor of you. The only difference is mine does have my company logo on it. But yeah, I know that you have a complete selection of black, and that's a very sharp one today, by the way. I like it.
It is a special one today. This is my anniversary model.
I like that. That's a keeper, man. That's a keeper. So, Steve, here's what the audience needs to know. You and I have known each other for quite a while. I think when we first connected is when you did what you do in Beverly Hills at the penthouse of Tiffany's. And Tony and I had no idea what we were stepping into. And that was really kind of our introduction to you. And then you and I have had coffee and compared Jeeps and bikes and all that good stuff and dinner with the ladies. And clearly we both have married way over our heads, and we understand that, respect that, and celebrate that. So, and happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now you've written a book that it actually took me a while to figure out the title, and now I get it. But I would love for you to explain to the audience. Let's just start here. The title of your new book is Go for Stupid. There it is, baby. And you're going to want a copy. And by the way, if I'm talking to you, you don't just want a copy, you want a case. And I'll tell you why. You want to have 10 to 20 books that you can hand out to people, that you can send to referral partners, people that you work with, because this is the kind of book that will stimulate meaningful dialogue. It's going to have people scratching their heads going, wow, I never thought about it that way. So can you just explain the title? Because I think it's such a great place to begin in terms of your philosophy.
It was funny because it was never supposed to be a book. We'd had this mindset probably from like 2004 when I had an office in Palm Beach for an old concierge firm I used to have. And people used to come to us and they used to go, hey, I want to meet John. And we'd be like, okay, we're hearing the request, but how can we take this ridiculously? How can we make this just insane based on the request? Now, notice I never used the word impossible. I never use the word achieve. What do you know what you can achieve? You never know what you can achieve until you try. And most people only ever go for something that's an inch away from their fingertips to stretch themselves. Me, I go for stupid. So in the early days of the concierge firm, we used to go, okay, I hear what you're saying, but let's get stupid with this. And you give yourself permission to build laughable visions.
Yeah.
And the daft thing is, we ended up achieving those.
Yes,
and then when you end up achieving them, they then become the new normal. So blue fishing came out. I moved away from the concierge industry, started working with entrepreneurs, business owners, solopreneurs, and they would still say to me, oh yeah, I want my business to do this. Now we'd go into why you want your business to do this. Yeah. And then we would look at the goal that they set themselves and go, okay, let's make that goal stupid.
Yep.
Let's be able to laugh at what we're going for. And we noticed a correlation between the sharpest people that we revere all over the planet, the Larry Page, the Elon Musk, the Steve Jobs, the Richard Bransons, the Jean-Paul Auger. These guys had stupid dreams. I'm going to disrupt the banking industry. I'm going to go into space. I'm going to buy an island. You know, all of these kind of ideas were ridiculous, stupid goals that had they not been there, they would have never achieved them.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I love that it didn't start off as a book. It started off more as your philosophy. And, people need to know you're the son of a bricklayer, East
Yep.
London bouncer, lived in Switzerland, Hong Kong. You create this luxury concierge service where you've created these unbelievable experiences for people. I mean, I don't want to just gloss over that, because if nobody knows you, if they're just listening to you right now, they know that you're a captivating, fascinating guy, but they may not know some of those stories. Would you mind just going through a couple of like marquee stories so they kind of get what we're talking about?
All right, so we had a couple that wanted to get married in the Vatican by the Pope. We had another couple that wanted to have a dining experience in Florence. So we closed down the museum Academia that houses Michelangelo's David. We thought that was a bit dull, so then we brought in Andrea Bocelli to serenade them while they're eating their pasta. We've done drum lessons with Guns N' Roses, guitar lessons with ZZ Top. We had a client that had a fascination with Formula One, so we stuck him in a Formula One car and he actually raced around a French race circuit. We've done two up with the Ducati race team. We've had you front stage, backstage, and on stage with your favorite rock bands. And Forbes called me the real life Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, which is who you are. So I want people to hear all that, because it's a rapid pace, like resume and pedigree of what you describe as stupidity. Like, let's think stupid. And you've done it with me, Steve. You've challenged, me over coffee to look at what I do and what I care about differently. And so what I want you to do is sort of do that with my audience now. You know that the vast majority of my audience is in the mortgage business. I've been in the business for 30 years. I've been a coach for 20 years in that space. And we're at a very interesting time as we record this. As we record this, the weather is just starting to cool off a little bit. Thank you very much. In Southern California, we're starting to look at the holidays right at the end of 2022. But the mortgage business, and this, it's in an interesting place right now, because all during COVID, man, when people were struggling and restaurants were closing down and people were losing money and healthcare providers were working 24/7, like the mortgage industry was blowing up because rates were low and people were refinancing, the phone was ringing and things were happening. And there was a weird kind of almost a survivor's guilt in the mortgage space about, I'm doing so well while other people are struggling. Well, guess what? Now that rates have gone up, crickets, the phone's not ringing. Some people got into the business at that time. They never had developed those sort of sales muscles, those sales chops beforehand. And so it's a new time for them, Steve. And so what I would love for you to speak to is maybe a couple of things. If something occurs to you around just dialogue, just starting conversation, like I know that you're good at this, and I see people lean forward and make notes when I say this, is I'll say, well, when you meet somebody, they're going to ask you what you do. So then you follow up with, well, actually, I'm in real estate, a good overarching term over the mortgage industry, right? I'm in real estate. Tell me about your real estate story, because everybody's got one, right? It's like either, well, I want to refi, but I'm not sure. We're thinking about selling, but we thought maybe we'd wait. We're thinking about buying, but we're not sure. We'd like to invest, but we're kind of not. And so that to me always opens up the door to dialogue. So number one, I'd like to ask you about dialogue. Number two, I'd like to ask you about like just marketing. You have a marketing firm. You and Henry just look at things differently in terms of the way that you show up on social and the way that you present yourself. So one dialogue, two marketing, if you don't mind me jamming two questions in together.
No, that's absolutely great. I am going to give you an overarching answer to both of those things for a start, with a big banner of, oh, what a wonderful time we are about to enter.
Amen.
It is, because while everyone's out there going doom and gloom, woe is me, everything's terrible, the people that know what to do are rubbing their hands.
Absolutely.
There's an old saying, and you know this, rough seas make great sailors. I don't like periods of time when money is easy, because when money's easy, people are complacent.
Right.
Now, at the moment, we're about to go into a recession, a depression, the end of the world, the aliens land, whatever you want to hang your hat on.
Sure.
We're going into a point of distraction and distortion and upset. And the thing is, we don't know what we're going into. We know the inflation's a bit high at the moment, but Does anyone here actually know what's going on in the next 6 months? Or are we all just kind of like bringing up what we read on the news that morning? Sure. We don't know. But what we do know is what we desire. And what we desire is clarity. And that's the single point that we got to focus through today. Yep. So now I'm going to go back and answer your first question and then go into the second question. Knowing that we want clarity, in today's world, we are consumed by noise. This little thing here that steers our life, if you don't turn the notifications off, you're getting notified every 3 seconds or 3 times that 3 seconds of someone trying to contact you on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Messenger, text, email, whatever. As people, as human beings, our desire for consumption has exponentially grown over the years. We want more things. The new iPhone, I've got to have it. Why? It's exactly the same as last year's, but I really want. We've become that kind of addicted to consumption of new, bright things.
Yep.
But our ability to retain has not grown into the same level. So what's happening is when we've got too much information coming at us, one part of our brain is, give it, come, here I am, I want it. But then we can't hold on to anything. And like, if you were starving for a drink and someone shoved your head under Niagara Falls, you would not actually be able to take a sip. You would not be able to gulp a millimeter of that water because the force would be too much.
Sure.
So the fact is today, there's so much news, so much noise that we're actually not getting any of it. So we're looking for the sparks that work. We're looking for simplicity. And here is where we are in today. We need the simplicity of a message. We also need to know someone's got our back. Now, at the end of the day, we're human beings. We love to connect. We love to stand side by side. We love to be in a circle full of people that we can relate to, and we can relate to easily. No effort, because all my effort is just surviving this noise and this dark misery negativity. I want to be able to associate with people that it's easy. You know, you go down, we all know this. How many times have we had a conversation with a client on a phone and it's just hard work, and we come off that phone and we're exhausted, aren't we?
Absolutely.
We are. But when we go and have a meal with a friend, when we have a conversation, like when we finish this podcast, I'm pumped.
For sure.
I can go again another 10 times. So if you focus on what's easy, the ROI of that interaction will actually help stimulate you. Now, I want to answer your first question better about the communication.
That's great.
The point today is that 99% of people are crap at it. And we've got worse. Pre-COVID, we were moving into a world of AI and transaction. And my son, 17 years old, he could be stood next to the Nest thermostat, and I'll say, hey, George, turn the aircon down. And he'll go, yeah, sure, Dad. He'll pick up the phone and go, Alexa, turn the aircon down. In fact, I actually saw him once.
I think you just lowered my air conditioning.
I saw him once go across the room, walk past the air conditioning unit to get his phone to make that order.
Oh, my goodness.
We are now, and look, as funny as that is.
What an example. Yeah.
How many people are listening to this going, yeah. Oh, you know, we use Siri, we use Alexa, we use Amazon. We are used to now barking orders and completing, and this is a horrible word, a transaction. Now, COVID came along and stopped us from being able to connect with each other. And what was everyone shouting at? Everyone was like, oh, I can't go down to the pub. I can't go to the gym. I can't do that. Well, I hate to break it to you. You were pretty bad at it before. Now you're just using COVID as the excuse economy.
Sure.
And then we got frustrated. And what did that frustration create? Protest. We had Me Too, Black Lives Matter, Trump, Asian hate. We looked at any reason to actually stand on a soapbox and start to vocalize because of it. Add on two more things. I'm laying the points here. Add on two more things that came out of COVID that were toxic to our ability to communicate. Cancel culture and the gotcha society.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, we're in a period of time where we can't communicate, but there are conversations we have to have. We have to talk about Black Lives Matter. We have to talk about politics. We have to talk about Me Too, but we're not. We're terrified in being caught up in a little nugget of a snippet that's going to put on TikTok and ruin our career. So what do? We avoid conversations.
Yeah.
So watch the timeline. We were getting pretty bad before COVID. COVID came across. Cancel culture, gotcha society came across, which repelled us even further from taking a stance on something. Now we're at the other side where people need to be heard and people need to connect. And all of the training we've had over the last 4 years has petrified us in being able to do it. Today's the day that the king of the castle is the one that has a conversation. You've literally got to reach out to people and you've got to start a conversation. You have got to get used to it, and it's hysterical. Have you ever looked at the stats on your phone? Bill, have you?
No.
If you look, you can actually, in the software part of this, you can look at the stats, how much time you spent on the phone, how much time you spent on the internet, how much time you spent on the different apps. 99% of those apps and the rest of the phone takes up more of your attention than you using it as a phone.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And now when you phone someone, and how many times are we at a restaurant, the phone rings and you look, it's almost an interruption.
Yeah.
You know, why are you phoning me? You know, oh my God, who is this? Hello? And of course, because of scam and spam calls that we're getting now, we've got a natural hesitation to even answer that phone.
You bet.
But when we do, hey, Bill, I apologize for disturbing you. I hope I haven't, but you know, we haven't spoken. I wanted to connect. And I wanted to just simply ask you, how are you holding up, fella? It'll knock you sideways.
Yeah.
During COVID, as you know, I did Zoom happy hours where I basically just told stupid jokes and just had a drink. No business. Just did that.
Sure.
I would phone people up randomly and I would just go, hey, how are you holding up? You know, what are you focusing on? And what impact can you create this afternoon?
Right.
And I would just have these conversations. You see, we haven't really advanced much at all. We're pack animals. And we want to surround ourselves with people that we can connect with easily and fondly. So in communication is not a text, a voicemail, an email, a banner on Facebook. Communication is getting in front of that person and going, hey, how are you? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to go, hey, I'm fine. And this is what I'll do. You want a tactic? Here you go. I'll say, hey, Bill, how you doing? You go, hey, I'm fine. I'm great. And I will respond with, good, we've got that out of the way. Now let's try again. Bill, how are you doing at the moment?
You bet.
And it knocks them. They go, actually, I'm a bit tired. Why are you tired?
Yeah.
You know, is it workload? Can we offset? So that's the communication.
It's such a good point. So I just want to comment on that very quickly, because as a coach, I mean, here's the thing that you did. When you asked the second time, you slowed down and your voice got lower, which implies this is not superficial. I really want to know. And this is something that I've had to do as a coach for years, Steve, because you know this, you're a coach as well. You know, what I've learned is people will give you those, living the dream, mate. You know, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. That's nonsense. Now let's rip off that mask and let's get underneath, like, how are you really, man? How's it going? And if you can have that kind of conversation with people and make that trip from head to heart, you've got a whole different connection point. So well done. Ask it again. Lower your voice, slow down a little bit, and ask it sincerely without a smile on your face, by the way, or maybe just a sweet smile, not a, I'm selling you something smile, right?
Yeah, show that you actually want the answer. And you can practice that. And we were talking about my cappuccino challenge earlier.
Yeah.
I actually dare you. And this is a tactic that you should try. And both, look, me and you, we're slightly over 21, the pair of us. Okay.
Just a bit.
We recall what it was like to have a conversation with someone when we were at the bus stop. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, if you walk up to someone at the bus stop and start striking up you're liable to be looked at like a mugger. They'll probably text the police while you stood there. So here's what I call my cappuccino challenge. And I urge everyone listening to this, you're going to hate it. You're going to get uncomfortable, and it'll be the best 10 minutes you spend. Walk into a coffee shop, whatever barista you like, tea leaf, Starbucks, whatever, it doesn't matter. But here's the dance that happens. The person walks up to the barista, they go, I'll have a frappa lappa, whatever it is. Right. And then they step to the side while it's being made. God forbid they could stand in silence for 3 seconds. They whip out the phone. And here's the thing, just like Bill was demonstrating perfectly there, notice how they hold their phone. They never hold it with one hand. They hold it with both hands. Now, if you remove that phone from their stance, they've got both hands in front of their chin. They're in a fighting stance. Psychologically, their body is saying, I am defending myself. So that when you confront them with a conversation, they're defensive because they're protective. So you need to break through this. So the step is wait until they step to the side and then try and strike up a conversation. Hey, how you doing? I like your jacket. Oh, do you know if my name got called up? Did you hear my name? Anything. Start a conversation, and it's going to be hard. And it's going to be awkward. But this is how you fine-tune the muscle that you need in your job today. Your job is not a transaction. That's why Purple Bricks went backpacking, okay? Yep. You're there to have that conversation because the client doesn't know what they don't know. That's your job. And if you can't actually explain it to them, why they need X, Y, Z, and by default, why they need you, then Purple Bricks is going to come back.
Yeah, it's so
and
good,
trust me, there's no one bigger than you, Bill, in this market. And I'm not in this market. But I'm going to say something now, and I urge you to disagree with me. And I wouldn't even have to ask permission for you to disagree. You would if you thought I was wrong. Tell me, Purple Bricks came over here with the idea of a transactional mortgage service, real estate service, and they went back with their tail between their legs, correct?
100%.
Do you not think they got a ton of education out of it? And is there any doubt they're over there now working on that education for attempt number 2?
You bet.
Right. And that's transaction. So if you can take the transaction out of the relationship, now there's a loyalty. Now there's a commitment. Now there's a care. The transaction is just a small print. It's irrelevant.
Yeah. That's so good, man. That's so good. I hope that everybody's listening to this or watching this, wherever it is that you're consuming it, play this back, like rewind about 9 minutes when Steve first got into this and roll that back through your head again. This is worthy of giving it a second rinse because these muscles have atrophied. We haven't been good at this for all the reasons that you mentioned. I love the way that you walked us through what we've all been through for the past few years, because what we know for sure, like here's what's documentable. Mental illness up, suicide up. The numbers are just astronomical, particularly with young people like millennials. I can't quote the number, but there was an astronomical increase in the number of hospitalizations for millennials who were anxious. They didn't know how to connect. Somebody just told me the other day, imagine this, you may have heard a similar story. Somebody just told me the other day, it was my physical therapist, the guy that's working on my shoulder. He said, I've got a 4-year-old, and we walked into a store and she said, Daddy, those people don't have masks on. Like, her whole reality, she had grown up, think about it, as long as she was aware, everybody was wearing masks. So now she sees people without masks and it's weird to her to see faces of strangers. How bizarre. So we've got to reconnect with people. Steve had just given you a great track to do that. As we capitalize now on social media, what are you guys thinking at Sims Media? What are you talking about these days? What are the conversations that you're having? Everybody knows they need to be doing something. They need to be visible, but I don't know, what percentage of the population would you say is doing it wrong in your opinion?
My answer can't be as good as the question you just gave. And I've been asked that question. My God, I think I've been answered it just today 3 times. I'm speaking at Traffic and Conversion, the largest marketing summit in the planet. In a couple of weeks' time, I'll be asked the exact same question again, but not like you said. And I want to draw attention to the way you said it and the differentiator that I'm not sure even if you're aware. A lot of people say about, oh, what do you post? How do you show up? But that's not what you said. What you said was, how do you have the conversation?
Right.
How do you speak with? And that's the point of what a social platform is for, is to ignite, not conclude.
Yeah.
Ignite a conversation and to spark the one that your avatar, your potential client, is having in their head now.
Yeah, man.
So when you show up, the 2 things that you've got to focus on, and I'm going to call you out and you guys can shout hate at me in my DMs or wherever you like. The mortgage and real estate industry is comical with this problem. 9 times out of 10, you care way too much what you look like. You know, you got the push-up bra, you're leaning up against the car you don't own. We don't care. We're not trying to date you. We're trying to buy a house. And you're there to help us. Stop looking at it like it's some kind of Miami Vice photo shoot. Start having the conversation of how you can help what the rest of the planet believes is, bar divorce, one of the most painful transactional processes they will ever go through.
You bet.
You know, I'd quite often think to myself, I'd much rather go and have a root canal than apply for a mortgage. You know, it's invasive and it's horrible.
I remember us having this conversation for one of your properties not that many years ago. So I understand that. And everybody understands that. That's real.
Everybody understands it, but no one's talking to it. So if you're in the mortgage space, for the first thing is stop wondering what you look like and turn up with the solution to somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Now, here's the beautiful thing, and I've used this tactic before. You know this thing. I've always said at 1 o'clock in the morning, you've got a headache. You run to the bathroom. You pull out the headache tablets. When was the last time you looked at the bottle and went, no, I don't like that logo? And you put it... When this solves a problem, no one cares what anything else looks like.
You bet.
Okay? It literally could just have a bottle and it could just have written on it, tablets. You'd still take them. Okay? You wouldn't care. So in today's world, for one thing, show up as you and try this. Think up the 5 things, the 5 misconceptions people have about today.
Yep.
You know, and you could go, okay, inflation's going to go up to triple digits. Okay. Houses are no longer available. Scarcity in market. It takes 2 years to apply for a mortgage. I need, Credit Karma is the best way to check my credit score.
Right.
All of these things. And then how about just picking up this thing? Again, it's in our hand all the time. No one that's talking to us now isn't maybe a foot away from the bloody thing.
Sure.
And just do a video and go, hey, I had a client in my office this morning asking me about triple-digit inflation. Well, let me just explain to you the basics of what's actually going on.
So good.
And answer their pain.
So let me just speak to this. You're absolutely right. It's funny. There's an old sales trainer when you said pain there at the end years ago named Floyd Wickman out of Detroit. And he used to say, hurt them and flip them. I don't know if I've told you this before. Hurt them and flip them. And what he meant was show them the pain and then help them avoid it. Right. That's what
that is a good one.
Yeah. And what occurs to me, though, is while you say nobody's doing this, and I know you're doing that as a general statement, I want to encourage the audience that there actually are people that are doing that. And here's the thing. They're taking market share away from you. They're stealing your clients because they're doing exactly what Steve is describing. Instead of getting on and talking about how great they are and how amazing they are and how incredible they are, they're talking about very specific examples. Like Steve just said, a story of someone who didn't think they could buy a home, a story of someone who had a 620 FICO score and they needed to get their credit score up. Tell stories, you guys. Stories connect people to your heart, to their heart, theirs to yours, and it makes things relatable. So this is not difficult. It's just a new muscle. It's very easy to get the cheesy shots going, right? And just making yourself look fantastic or whatever, but stop that. Just stop it. I mean, I think one of the things Steve, you would say in marketing, I think right now is one of the greatest tools you can do right now. Like you weren't kidding when you said, grab the phone. You don't have to have the background. You guys, I've got lights over here. I've got a blue light on this side, a red light on this side. I mean, none of this is by accident, right? But you don't need any of that. You can actually just record a video just like this and make it a little edgy. Go out in your backyard. It's okay if you bob around a little bit. It actually makes you more believable. You're not trying to be an anchor on the NBC News.
Your phone, believe it or not, has a greater resolution than half of Hollywood had 10 years ago. You know, it's ridiculous. And I will literally just walk down a corridor and I will just film something and then I'll post it.
I've seen you do it.
Here's a couple of points just to and you're very lucky to be listening to Bill. Bill's just a genius and you know that. That's why you're listening to him. Bill was saying quite simply, stop looking for the cheesy shots. Now, here's a couple of things, again, statistically, for you to think about. During COVID, the worst pandemic known to us ever, that literally united a world together in negativity. The BBC reported that there were over 5 million new millionaires registered during that 2-year period. So over 5 million people saw an opportunity while everyone else was figuring out what they were going to binge watch on Netflix.
You bet.
Okay. Now, go back to Bill. So many people are doing the cheesy shots against the car. Stand out by not doing it. And here's another thing to think about. We're in a media company. Whenever you get into a recession, a depression, a distraction, a distortion, whenever you get uncomfortable, what is the first budget that's ever cut? Marketing dollars.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, hang on a minute. So the people still want, the people still have the pain, but there's less people out there telling me how to provide a solution. And now you show up, and here's the beautiful thing. And this next bit, zero. Here's the next bit for you. When you go and post on Facebook, how much does it cost?
Pretty much nothing.
When you post on, and I'll make this quick because it's pretty obvious, TikTok, Pinterest, Snapchat, what is your subscription costs for any of those platforms?
Right.
How much does it cost you to, while you're knocking up the coffee, post that video, which would probably take about 20 to 30 seconds on all those different platforms? Okay? It doesn't. Now, here's the flip side. You say hurt them and flip them. How much does it cost you not to do that?
Oh,
because I'm doing it.
Absolutely.
Bill's doing it. And loads of other people around the planet, they're doing it. You're not. And you're losing out on something that you could be doing for free.
I have my handy dandy little whiteboard. and so what I'm doing here as we get ready to wrap this up is I want people to do 3 things. I want them to follow Steve. I want them to buy the book and then buy lots of books. Thank you. And I want them to go to Sims Media and figure out how much more is possible. The beauty of what Steve is doing in our business is that, I mean, it's antithetical. Look at Steve. Look at him. And when you begin to follow him, you're going to see he would rather be on a Ducati. Well, here's what you may not see. He's got piercings, right? He's got the big goatee. He looks like a badass biker. He looks like a guy that would throw you out of a bar because he was, right? And yet all of that magic that he brings to you right now through this interview is what can make you stand out, make you different. The very differentiation that Steve is talking about right now in a market that is ripe with opportunity, you guys, ripe with opportunity. It's not going to be for the people that all look the same, that are all doing the same things. It's going to be for the people that begin to do some things differently and think differently. Steve, you have always been the guy to me that has just shaken the Etch-a-Sketch, man. You always approach things differently. It's who you are. It's how God made you. I love every bit of it. And I thank you for making the time to be with my audience today. So I want people to follow you. I want them to buy the book. Tell them about the book, because right now it's like it's not available quite yet, but knowing the way
it's coming up close. And yeah, you can find it on stevedsims.com in a few weeks' time. But it really teaches you the mindset and the abilities you need to learn, the daft things, the things you need to relearn. There's nothing in there that's difficult, but it's going to show you starkly, apparently, what you need to be focusing on to avoid the toxic society of gotcha and cancel culture. And then how you can actually become an asset to anyone in your sandpit.
Man, this is like creative Purell. I feel cleaner already just thinking about reading the book. Can't wait. And then number 3, Sims Media, tell them what to expect. Like they're going to go to the site. What's the best first step that they can take?
Well, the first thing to do is you visit sims.media, and then you look at that website and ask yourself, does this make sense? Now, I know that sounds a silly thing to say, but look through the website and go, okay, does this make sense? Because there's lots of calling blocks there that quite simply, you can now go to your website, your persona, your online brand and go, well, hang on a minute, am I as clear? And if you don't think you are, it's very easy. There's a button on there. You can push it. You could book a clarity call with one of our team, and we'll actually take a look at the stuff that you're doing and go, well, hang on, you're very confusing over there. You're kind of sketchy over there. You're clear here, but this is like dark. I can't even see what's going on here. So you really got to focus in a world of noise and distraction. Where's your clarity?
Yeah, I got to tell you guys. So Steve has done that with me, and it's painful. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's painful. I would be the first to admit I've got a healthy ego. I think what I do is pretty good, but it could be better, and it could have been better. And so when we had that conversation and Steve had that honest conversation with me, it was like, okay, fair enough. I didn't see it that way. And you know what? We all need somebody in our lives that's not just going to suck up to you and say, yeah, you're the man. No, this is great. That looks fantastic. This is wonderful. He's going to say, yeah, that's crap. And you need to hear that. And he may not use that word. I'm just saying. Steve Sims, I love hanging with you. I wish we got a chance to do it more often. I think we're overdue for coffee or lunch, so let's make that happen. Thanks for coming to hang out with us today. I really appreciate it. Best of luck with the book. I'll see you at the launch, by the way.
You will. See you soon, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Hey, brother. See you.